Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 20. We've reached the two zeros. That's very exciting, Jamie. I know it's not quite 21, but we're getting there. I am Mitchell Whitfield, joined by my fantabulous co-host, the ever positive and ever wonderful Jamey Stegmeyer. Jamie, how are you today?
I am doing great today. I feel very small. For those of you on camera can see me. I've adjusted my desk so that I'm closer to my microphone, and so Mitchell looks tall and magnanimous. I look very tiny.
But I think in real world, I'm
Okay.
happy you're here too. And I think in real life, you are the taller one and I'm the
Oh,
smaller one.
really?
But it's good for visual purposes to have a little. You know what? I feel like I should look down, like, look at you, Jamie. I'm a giant, and look at you.
I need to look the right way.
I know. You know what it is. You look. It looks like It's like, listen, son. The podcast is starting. You should go get your papa now because I don't think we're ready. No, it's very cute. I like this dynamic, but we'll be back to we'll work out the regular height thing at a future time. So to start off before we start, I owe you an apology because I was all jazzed to get Vantage going this week. And our game group was canceled this week. I was like, no. So, and I was bummed and I didn't, and I could have done it solo, but I genuinely wanted my first play to be a shared experience. I didn't want it to be a solo experience because I will play solo. I have no problem with that at all because I do want to explore it solo as well. I want to explore the different ways of experiencing it. But I think for the first time, I really wanted to share it with my friends who were also excited about it. So, barring any more illnesses or weirdnesses, I promise we'll be talking about it next week. By the way, did we have something we wanted to share?
Yeah,
about next week.
Next week, when we turn 21, when the podcast turns 21, we're going to try something a little different. This was something that a few people requested. We are going to do a live recording. So we usually record these on Fridays at 3:30 Central Time, 1:30 Pacific,
Right.
Or I guess that's 4:30 Eastern Time in the US. So same time on Friday, August the 8th. If you want to join us, we're going to do this live and probably mostly focus on things that you bring up in the comments, questions, topics, things like that. So yeah, anything you want to add to that, Mitchell?
No, I was going to say, yeah. No, I'm very excited about that because we've always said this is a show for the people. No, this is a show for everyone. And we really pride ourselves in not just reading the comments, but really embracing the stuff that you'd like to hear, because you all come up with some stuff either some answers. If we say, what are your favorite this or that, or what do you think when you're playing this? And you all come up with stuff that I was like, wow, that is so cool. I didn't even think about that. So we love hearing other points of view and getting an influx of information and questions and ideas for other shows. So this time, everyone out there, you'll be running the show. We will just be sitting here looking beautiful, possibly the same height. I cannot guarantee that. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. I've never done that, and I've secretly always wanted to be a part of your live shows. That you have on Wednesdays. But this will be my opportunity to be a part of that in a different way. So yes, I'm incredibly excited about that.
And keep in mind that if you're listening to this, you're probably listening to it on August 7th or maybe even on the morning of August 8th. So that means tomorrow for you, or later today on August 8th, we are doing this. So
you'll get a double dose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm excited about that. Do you have a treat of the day today?
I do have a treat of the day. I have two treats of the day. I'll be quick with the first one. First one is very easy. Went out with some friends to celebrate a birthday, our friend, and Tracy and I and our friend and her husband, both friends of ours actually, went to this great Italian place near us that I think I've talked about before. Mm-hmm. But it's one of these places. It's really nice and cozy, but it is a nice place, and they bring out the desserts that they procured for that evening on a tray, and you pick things in. And usually that's not my thing. I'm like, just give me some crazy chocolate cake or whatever. I'm happy. If I'm picking from a tray and there's fruit, there's too much going on, too much stimulation. I just keep it simple. This place has great desserts. They brought out the tray, and it had like a little tiny cake. I guess there's a name for it, a little tiny cake. And it was a white and dark chocolate mousse cake with shaved chocolate on top, dark chocolate on top. You would have loved it.
Yeah.
It was moist and delicious. And I thought it was going to be more moussey, more like a pudding, but it wasn't. It had more of a cake feel, but it was still it was incredible. Before I get to the other treat, let me hear your treat of the day, and then I'll cap mine off with a treat for both of us. Go ahead.
Well, I kind of have two as well. I'll do my treat.
Okay.
Megan happened to go to a place in St. Louis that we call St. Louis Bread Company or St. Louis Bread Co. Outside of St. Louis, it's known as Panera. I think it's maybe across the U.S., probably beyond. But it started in St. Louis, so it's St. Louis Bread Co. here. She went there and picked up lunch today. We did kind of some salads for lunch and some delicious cookies and a little chocolate cheesecake, I guess, like a cheesecake bite. And so we had a variety of like little nibbles of desserts at lunch today. Yeah.
Do they still have that tomato soup at your location? That great tomato soup that they do?
You know, you have mentioned that, and I totally forgot to get that today. It's very hot in St. Louis. I wasn't
I know
thinking
it's
real
not soup time.
but
I just want to make sure they have
that.
it.
Yeah, the next time they get that, we go there, we'll get it. Yeah.
Panera always has like the best tomato soup. Like I always get like half a sandwich, and there's Bella barking. I always get the half a sandwich and that tomato soup. It's like a killer meal, but it's too hot. Summertime is not hot soup time.
Yeah,
it just isn't. I mean, nothing against. I'm not looking to try to soup shame you. If that's what you dig, go for it. For me, I don't want my pores opening with a hot soup on a day that's already 90 degrees. That's just crazy. Oh, what is your set? Did you have a second one?
Well, I was just going to say I had a wonderful game night last night. We had 5 friends show up, or I guess 4 friends, and then it was Megan and I. So we just sat around. We did 6-player games. We played New York Slice,
yes,
Point Salad, so 2 food themed games, and then finished off with No Thanks. And it was a great time. Like everyone was just a really good mood, and we were playing well and having fun. So just wanted to celebrate a fun game night with friends.
I love that. That's wonderful. And you see, you did both. You did a little food and a little bit more human celebration. I mean, favorite, things that you love to eat and things that you love to do, which I love. My other treat was Positively Board Gaming finally has an Instagram account.
That's right. I saw that. Yeah.
I should, by the way, don't feel like you have to collaborate. I always send you the post. So if you want to share it, you can, but you don't have to, Jamey. I just do that. I like a tick if we both want to share the post with our regular accounts, but it is at PBG podcast, as PBG as in Positively Board Gaming podcast. And we just launched yesterday and we've gotten a great response. People have been, commenting, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful to have a separate place that is just dedicated to this podcast. And we'll always have more information there. I think we're going to put, and we'll make sure we let people know we're doing the live broadcast. I'll make sure, managing social media is not easy. I don't know how these kids do it today. It's not just kids, obviously. There are, adults doing it too, but it's a full-time gig, Jamey. I mean, like managing a business and then doing the social media and being on top of it in a way and knowing how to collaborate and what should be a story, what should just be a regular post, and how to, if you want to embed video, it's my 60-year-old brain was overwhelmed. So just be understanding. I might not do it right every time, but darn it, I'm going to try.
So Mitchell, on a whim, as you were figuring out social media, I Googled the acronym PBG just to see if there was anything funny that it also stood for.
Oh, as in inappropriate or just funny?
Maybe either.
Okay.
And I found a couple just real quick. I found that it's most commonly refers to Peanut Butter Gamer, a popular YouTube personality that I've never heard of. It also, there's an airport called the Plattsburgh International Airport.
Oh, in New York.
That is in New York. Yeah. Palm Beach Gardens. And also, I was hoping for a medical one here, and there is. I can't pronounce it, porphyronogen. It's a substance found in urine, sometimes tested for in relation to acute porphyrias. So it could mean any of that. We could talk about any of those topics if you'd like today, but maybe we'll hold those for a future podcast.
See, Jamey, this is something I'd expect from me, not from you. I really think, no, listen to me. I think I'm rubbing off on you in a wonderful, naughty kind of way. This would normally be something I'd bring up and you'd be like, oh, really? We're going to go here? Come on. We're just trying to keep it in family gaming. Yes. Let's talk about the different acronyms. It's frightening. I'm just glad that it didn't stand for something. You're right. This is something I should have really heavily researched and I did not. I just knew Positively Board Gaming or Positively Board Gaming podcast was going to be incredibly long. So I was trying to shorten it. And I'm just glad it wasn't something a whole lot worse because usually you'll accident. And again, there are certain things like, I'll be playing Call of Duty and I'll make a comment, not something inappropriate or, bad. Right. And my nephew or my son will say, oh, you can't say that. I'm like, why? What does it mean now? And they'll tell me, and I go, ooh, I didn't mean that. And, so I have to learn I'm learning a whole new vernacular just to make sure I don't say something inappropriate, not meaning to and totally not knowing about it. Right. So again, I really have to become more hip, and just more with the times. So thank you for researching that. And we could talk about the urine stuff or the peanut butter thing, whatever you want. I've had enough blood tests and that stuff. That stuff doesn't frighten me out. But now you're really my friend, Jamey. You're officially my friend. You've come to the dark side, and I love you for that. Thank you. Let's start. You know what? I'd like to hear. So if you're just joining us, and I assume because of social media and Jamey linking it and to his account and stuff, we have a lot more people that are listening or that have access to the show now. the way this works is Jamey and I come together. We each bring a topic to the table. What you heard before was sometimes we do a little before we start, which maybe we will do later. I don't know. And then we have a topic that we each bring to the podcast. The other person does not know what the other one has, and we've yet to cross over, and we surprise each other with a topic and we discuss. So, yeah, that's sort of the format of the show. And we talk about, treat of the day, which you've heard. And sometimes we'll do a before we start. But I feel like I've rambled on enough before we start. So, Jamey, are you cool starting? Would you like to talk about your topic first? What if it's a crossover for the first time? I want to know.
We'll see. It'll happen someday.
Oh, yeah.
So I went to the movie theater the other day and I saw Fantastic Four, the new Fantastic Four movie.
Okay.
And I had the greatest time. Like I loved the movie. I was smiling. It was one of those movies where I started smiling like a few minutes into the movie and I just never stopped. Like sometimes I've had that with movies and, it takes a turn. I'm like, oh, this doesn't make sense, or the acting took a dive or whatever. And it changes. But consistently throughout the entire movie, I really, really loved the new Fantastic Four movie. Genuinely loved it. Walked out with the biggest smile on my face. And I even like tonight I updated, or I updated, it's going to post tonight. I updated my list of like my top 10 favorite superhero movies of all time. I ended up putting it, there's some good competition on that list. So I'm curious when we bounce over to you, if you have, I don't know, a top 1 or 2, whatever.
Oh yeah.
But I put it in the top 5. It ended up in the top 5. I really love this movie. And so I was thinking today I'd throw out some of my favorite board games that are superhero themed.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Toss out a few. There's a couple different categories, a couple different intellectual properties here.
Sure.
And I'll just say all 6 out loud, and maybe then I'll talk about 1 or 2 if there's if there's 1 or 2 that jumps out. So the 6 that I thought of in no particular order are Marvel Remix, which is fantasy realms but with a Marvel theme.
Yep, great game.
The Reckoners, which is based on a Brandon Sanderson superhero series.
Yep.
Where actually the heroes are the bad guys in that series. Marvel Dice Throne, which we've talked about Dice Throne, probably every episode. We both love Dice Throne. I love Marvel Dice Throne. Marvel Villainous, many different versions of Villainous. There's a Marvel version. Comic Hunters, which you introduced me to, where it's not about the heroes, but about the comic books themselves.
Right.
And then Sentinels of the Multiverse, which is the one that, I don't know if I'd put that necessarily at the top, but it might be, because it's the one where I really feel the most like I am playing a unique superhero as I'm going through my own unique deck of cards and playing it. Any of those jump out to you as one that you want me to talk a little bit more about? Or
you know what? I'd like to hear. Okay, I'd like to hear more about Sentinels, and I'll tell you why.
Okay. Yeah.
First of all, I think that did the company that make the game, they're no longer around. Is that true?
They are, for the most part, yes.
Or the restructuring
or some of their intellectual properties. Yes. I think Sentinels will continue to exist.
Okay.
Somewhere.
So I bought the most recent big box version. That was their latest game. And one of the things that jumped out to me, and you'll have to tell me if this is something that was sort of part of their core system to begin with. One of the things that jumped out to me is you're playing the game in 2 different ways. You're playing some of the game as your secret identity, and you're playing some of the game as the hero. And there are certain things you can only do when you're playing as your secret identity person. And there are certain things you can only do as your superhero persona, which I thought was really cool because it forced you, regardless of how powerful you were compared to the other heroes, your regular person persona was an equally valid and important part of the game, which I thought was a really cool thing. Does that happen in the other games as well? Is that something that's part of their system, or is that something that was unique to this particular game? Because I'd love to hear more.
Yeah, I wonder if that was unique to that. I remember that specifically about the game Marvel Champions.
Okay.
But I don't know if I remember that about Sentinels of the Multiverse. Maybe it was something they added in. Maybe I played an older version of it.
Yeah, no, it's a newer version that's like based on that universe, but it isn't Sentinels and Multiverse. It's a newer game with those characters. Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, so tell me more about it, because I thought the artwork was beautiful. I thought it looked really cool. So tell me about it a little bit.
I've played it maybe half a dozen times.
Okay.
And it's a game where you have your own unique deck. And that deck is fully full of your character, like art of your character and your character's abilities. Okay. I really like fast characters, like the Flash, that sort of character. And this is their own IP. And so they have a character that is a little speedy. And all the cards in that character's deck are built around being fast and like playing more cards and drawing more cards.
Okay, gotcha.
Like that. So the mechanisms are really tied well into the abilities.
That's awesome.
And so you really feel, or at least I really felt like I was playing a unique superhero, and the how that then influences the teamwork, because it's a fully cooperative game where you're competing against a big bad guy. The team dynamics with these different types of abilities, I thought really came together in some really fun ways. And then it's combined also with the asymmetry of the different bosses that you're playing against. They can feel very different. And I think we talked about last week how you can, we like games where it communicates very clearly the difficulty or the complexity level of playing different characters, different bosses. This game does that really well, especially in whatever the last version I played did that really well. If you wanted to choose like a shorter, slightly less difficult boss and less or more complex characters, it was very good at letting you choose that. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Really fun game.
Okay. Yeah. See, now I have to figure out, I'll have to look it up. I'll probably have it for the next episode. This game, again, it was set in the game that I have was a bigger campaign game, still card based, but with a huge city map, which also I appreciated very much. Being raised in a huge city, I was like gravitate toward that sort of thing instantly. And miniatures. And it was like, I was like, oh, this game spoke to me. But it wasn't just pure Sentinels and Multiverse. It was those characters in a different campaign setting. But I assume it's going to be a lot of the same characters, maybe some extra ones. But yeah, I love that. I think that sounds amazing. And
this one's only card driven. It is that same world, but only card driven.
Yeah, which is great. Which I really, isn't it funny though, how card games, and this is really interesting to me. I think that's why I like deck builders and card based adventure games in general. How just the storytelling, even if there's like a mini or a standee that goes with it, and it is card play.
Right.
But it gives the feeling of, whether it's just having that standee or miniature with you, with the beautiful art and the deck of cards that you're playing to mitigate there's something about that evokes the feeling of a bigger game. Even if it's a simple game with, not simple, but, just in terms of the components, simple with just cards and, but I'm amazed how many deck builders there are that give that feeling of expanse using just cards and maybe a mini and maybe a little player mat. It's sort of, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just because that kind of game speaks to me a little bit. Yeah. So I always feel like that the games like that feel to me much bigger than they are in the box. Does that make sense?
It does totally make sense.
Okay.
Do you have a favorite superhero game and or superhero movie? One that maybe you've watched?
Oh wow! You know what I
really enjoy? Yeah.
I love Black Panther.
Yeah.
I love that movie. To me, is almost a perfect movie. Just in terms of everything that it does. The writing, the story, sticking to the story of Black Panther, but also making it into a beautiful universe on screen. The performances, the message, everything was just powerful and beautiful to me. The other one is kind of strange because I find myself going back to it, and it's the first Captain America.
That's on my list too. Yeah.
Is it really?
It's a really, really good movie.
It's such an underrated Marvel movie. I think that's because the way the movie starts and the setting, when you're seeing like the skinny, and they did a great job. Only when you look at it now, because you're looking at it with those, can I see the special effect that it's not really, that it's not really him. It's, his face, but he's all skinnied out. The movie is done so well. And again, it's a stylized movie. Took place in the 40s. Yeah. But the way they did it and the performances, and sometimes it doesn't matter what period it's set in. Values are values and heroes are heroes. And it doesn't really matter what setting you put them in. It resonates really well. And I think that movie is a great example of that. And I think some people might have been at first like, oh, it starts off with the whole black and white or like, the very sepia sort of look to it. And then evolves into this incredible, it's a great story. And I could watch it over and over again. So that would be my go-to. For games, I love Comic Hunters, of course, like you. Marvel Dice Throne is another one. There's one more I'm not thinking of, but those are the first two that definitely come to mind. And I really want to play my Sentinels game, excuse me, more than ever, based on, you talking about this. But yeah, those would be my go-to.
Awesome. Well, yeah, that's my superhero topic of today. Do you have I assume you didn't overlap. What's your topic of the day?
Oh no, Jamie, you're wrong.
Okay.
This is our now part of this. And folks, I'm not getting emotional. Just a little allergy thing. Jamie, I'm getting
thinking about Captain America.
I'm all verklempt talking to you about superheroes. It's terrible. So this is the closest we've had to a crossover, and part of it, I guess, is my own fault because I picked Sentinels for you to. Oh no, you talked about superheroes. So no, this was all just magic. So before we start topic was going to be finally talking about my first session of Arydia. So I'll just truncate that here. It was wonderful. The love that went, and people talk about it all the time, the love that went into this game, not just the the designer's love for what he was doing, but the love for the player and the fans, making it easy with each card having a background. If you didn't understand something, you turn the card over and it explains. You're like, oh my God, this person really has played a bunch of games that didn't explain things and wanted to make sure. There was so much thought put into it.
Yeah.
And I was a little overwhelmed at first, and part of that was my fault because I realized we talked about this. I absorb things differently. And the rule books are wonderful, the way that it's explained. But visually, I'm used to like seeing, here are the 5 points. And with each point, I'll give an explanation. Here's what we're doing, and here's how to explain it. Here's what we're doing, and I'm going to explain it. In this one, it lists 5 things on the page, and the next page explains those 5 things. So my brain, it wasn't a problem with the rule. It was me.
Yeah.
I had a trouble. I was like, wait a minute, are these new things or are they just explained? So I got frustrated with myself, but then it clicked. I was like, oh, this is brilliant. Of course. I know exactly what they mean. I'm an idiot for not thinking of it in the first place. Had a wonderful time. Then I thought to myself, for this week's topic, I wanted to talk about 5 of my favorite classes for RPG / dungeon crawl / adventure games, even overlapping into the video game world, because there is a lot of overlap when you're talking about dungeon crawls in general, adventure games. Video games have been doing this for years. Board games have been doing it for a long time as well. Although I think we see more dungeon crawls probably the last decade or so.
Yeah.
But video games have been doing it really well. So I wanted to talk about my 5 sort of classes that I gravitate towards in games like this. And I'm sure, and I'd be interested in, once again, with people listening or watching, I'd love to hear about your classes and what is it about that class that resonates with you or why you like playing them all the time. Because there are a couple of classes that I find myself playing all the time. Doesn't matter the game, board game, video game. It's like, Mitchell's going to be the like, and I'm like, surprise, I am. What am I going to say? So I didn't really put them in a particular order, but if you pushed me, I would tell you what that order was.
Okay.
I'm going to start off with the Necromancer. Now, the Necromancer for me, this is really, I never played a Necro in anything except Diablo. And if you've played the game Diablo, Necromancer is a very fun character. And again, it's dark. And I know some people don't like playing these characters because of their beliefs, and it's a very dark sort of thing and reanimating it. And I totally get that. For me, I kind of look at it, it's as a game meant to be a game. So I don't put too much into like the real world application, because for me, I know it's just something for fun. So keep that in mind when I'm talking about this. So the Necromancer obviously, raises the dead to help, him or her fight. And there's something about, especially in Diablo, there's this ability that you have, and I'm not sure if it's baked into any RPGs. You'll have to tell me as well if people have played Necro-type characters in any tabletop games. There's something called exploding corpses. So basically, after you demolish everything on screen, you can raise those corpses, right? It's a fight for you. Or you can leave them on the ground. You're clearing out a room, you leave them there, and you can use them as little bombs. So basically, in Diablo, as you're going through this game and you're clearing a room of all the bad guys, you take care of, you chop them all up, they all become their own little bombs. So basically, you're destroying things and then using this device, and they're all blowing up. It's like this, boom. It's like the 4th of July for angry necros. And there's something about that that's so satisfying. It's like pop, 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 pop. Everything's blowing up on screen. It's very visceral and fun. It's very silly. And that's why, Necro made my list. There's also crossover with these a little bit. I was also going to go with the cleric / paladin, which have similarities. They both can fight and they can both heal and do spells. They do it a little differently. Cleric is more of a healer who can also wear armor and, mix it up a little bit. Paladin is more of, but the cleric, mostly cast spells, but they can fight as well. Paladin's the opposite. They do more hand to hand, but they can also cast spells. So depending on, one is based on faith and, oath, and one is based on faith. So they're different, but there is something satisfying about being able to walk into a room and have your choice of what you want to do. Do you want to protect your friends, as a tank, or do you want to heal your friends? So it's a great tanky / support character at the same time. There is a problem. And Mike, if you're listening, this is directed at you. We're not about shaming. I'm not using last names. But our friend Mike, when we're playing D&D, he is a cleric. He's our main healer. I'm repeating. He's our main healer. This is what he does. Now, if you ever played D&D, everyone has their own role. Dungeons and Dragons, you have your own role. There's a tank who's used to like taking damage. And then while you stand back and you attack everyone while everyone's attacking your friend. So he's taking all the damage for you. That's what a tank does. They're like the glass cannons that are kind of weak. You can't really hit them, but man, can they do a lot of damage. And clerics, clerics can go either way, but they're mostly healers, especially if you're the only healer in the group, the only true healer in the group. You hear how close I'm getting to the microphone? Our cleric is our number one healer. For some reason, God bless him, he loves going into the room first and swinging that hammer. And what happens is, again, there's something called aggro in these games where you will get aggro. And if you are first in, because in a lot of these games, your positioning matters, how you enter a room matters. Whoever goes in first is going to attract the attention of whatever good or bad things are in there. And they will start beating on that person because, hey, you're first through the door. You might take a beating. And we kept on saying, look, dude, do me a favor. I'm all for it. And again, this is a very tough conversation to have because in gaming, I'm not an alpha gamer at all. But this conversation sort of came from, I think I started it. In all fairness, I probably started it. I very much believe in one of the great joys of playing a game like this, and Jamie will also tell you this, is being able to play your way with your kind of character. That is sort of the point of playing D&D. You're playing your character your way, however that is. So far be it from me to tell someone how to play their character. I want everyone to have joy. But when your joy results in everyone dying, I feel like I need to say something in a but in a very positively board gaming way. Like, hey, everyone who got their friends killed, put their hands up. That's you, Mike. Put your hand. So we would joke about it. I was like, look, I love that you love storming in that room and fighting, but maybe just go in second or third so that if one of us gets hurt, there'll be someone to heal us because So I was playing a ranger at the time. This will come back later. And I ended up having to add a healing skill. I didn't make too much of a big deal about it. Again, I wanted him to have fun, but I just very quietly, I was like, I better add a heal because you can add skills to your game as your character as you go along. I added healing because if I wasn't healing the group, and I'm supposed to be shooting arrows at people at a distance, but I'm coming in, I'm healing because our clerics in there bashing and smiling and having fun. So again, everyone should play the game the way they want, but if there are D&D players out there, they're probably going, oh man, I know what you mean. We had a healer like that too. He thought he was a tank. He'd go in there and he'd just go crazy. And I tried to be the bigger person, Jamie. And as a ranger, I stayed back and I healed my friends. I'm not saying I'm a good person because of it. That's all you get. Number 3 would be the bard. Now, Jamie, who doesn't like a bard? I mean, most of the time in a lot of stories, they're sort of like half drunk with an instrument, playing music, laughing. You have to wake them up to go to the fight. They're just funny characters and they play music. And I like that they're support characters too. They can heal with a song. I feel like an Elton John. This is the lyrics from Elton John. I can heal with a song. You can heal with a song. You can do damage. You can inspire your fellow players to do better. You can make the opponents weaker with a certain song so their spells are in the form of songs, which I think is fantastic. And I think if you like to role play when you're playing these games, and if you like to have fun and you're generally boisterous and out there and just want to have a great time, a bard is would that be a good description of like a player that would want to play a bard? Just someone that really wanted to be out there and have a great time, not afraid of like just role playing and having fun. That's what I think of bards when I think of that. Do you?
Yeah.
I mean, it's, that's sort of thing. The last two, there's a lot of crossover. And then Jamie will get to you if you have like a favorite class. There's a lot of crossover because depending on whether you're playing a video game or a board game or a true RPG, as opposed to a dungeon crawl board game, there's crossover and like, the lines are a little blurred. My personal favorite is playing a hunter or a demon hunter in Diablo. Now, they basically stay back and they do ranged damage and they can do some, other stuff, but that's their main thing. In some games, a rogue, who I also love, and again, if you're a really nice person and you ever feel the need to play a character that's a little different than you, maybe try a rogue. They like to do things that are, they're usually times not, they're unlawful, a little chaotic. They like to do the stabby in the back. Not the most moral characters, but they're a lot of fun to play. There's a lot of crossover between a hunter, demon hunter, and a rogue, especially in video games, where the rogue in Diablo, for example, took on the role of a hunter as well, ranged fighting and stabby. So there's crossover. But then there's also the ranger that I like to play in D&D, which is also a healer, which also talks to animals, which I love. But there's a crossover with the druid class, which does some similar things as well. So I put rogue and hunter and ranger and druid together to round out my top 5. That's a lot of yapping for one young man. So yeah, these are like the characters that I find myself in Arydia. I was trying desperately to figure out, I really want to play a bard, but how could I not play like a ranged character with hunting, and they had so many great abilities mixed in with their arrows. So of course I went to the hunter, archetype, but the bard was the other one I wanted to play, and I might have to play the game again at some point just so I can play the bard. I don't know. Yeah. So do you have when you play these type of games or any sort of adventure? I know you're not a big dungeon crawl guy. I know that.
Right.
But is there a character that you in these type of games when you've played, is there a type that you gravitate towards? Whether it's the fighter or the tank or the healer, is there something that you would be like, oh yeah, that feels more like me?
I've definitely bounced around between a few of them. Like I
Okay.
like when games give me the opportunity to be a little sneaky. I'm not sneaky in real life, but in games
That's
I
what I'm
like to be a
saying.
little sneaky. So like the rogue is one for
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah.
I in video games I like to put some distance between me and the enemies, and so I like the ranger, the archer, those types of classes. And the bard intrigues me. And here's my question for you.
Yeah.
Because the thing that if I were to do a D&D campaign, I think
Yes.
the thing that I'd be the most interested in is finding alternatives to fighting. That's what Vantage is kind of built around, that concept.
Absolutely.
I had to like struggle to put fighting in there because it is an option, but there's a lot of other options. So I talk my way out of it. Do I bribe my way out of it? Do I sneak around someone? And so is there another character? The bard is probably the closest to this, but is there another class that is about negotiation and charisma and kind of charming your way out of tough situations?
I'm trying to think aside from the bard, because I'm sort of like limited in like the characters. As you can tell, like these are mostly the characters that I played.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think, if you roll a character, you can have any character that you roll. If it's not a pre-done character, if you're rolling your character and you roll high charisma, because again, you can go against type all the time. You could have like a rogue or a fighter that has high charisma and use that for communication skills.
Okay.
So even though a person or a character is not of that type, because you happen to have one with high charisma, which in most cases will result in you're more likely to get the result that you want, or getting a better price from a vendor, or getting, if someone is not going to talk to your party, they're more likely to talk to you and have a positive outcome. You can almost have that with any character. I think the thing where it comes in handy, I think like certain characters like the bard have the plus charisma because of those various situations. But yeah, it can really happen with anything if you roll it high. But in terms of like baked in charisma, I'm trying to think of, you guys let us know, because I haven't had that much experience with that many other characters, but I would think that your bard would be the one, because they're usually the ones that sort of diffuse situations. If something bad's going down, bard comes in, sings a song, calms down the room, even without using, a magic song. Just their presence is sort of like a calming, boisterous, like, oh, let's play a song. We don't want to fight, play a song. Because like you, especially when I'm playing D&D, I do not go in, unlike our friend the cleric. By the way, this is all fun. We have a great time playing D&D together. Please don't think that I'm just shaming poor Mike, but it's a funny story. I would much rather resolve things using my head. So we have our friend Jack. He would go into a room and start. I'm like, no. Let's ask what they're, before the person, there's like someone's ready to fight you. Well, why do you want to fight us? I always ask a question first. And then we'll hear their story. And then they'll end up helping us. And I look at my friends and go, aren't you glad you talked first? As if like I'm some savior. Like I didn't want to hit anybody. Like meanwhile, I'm blowing up corpses like an animal and I'm the one saving people, right? No, but I always look for alternative ways, because I want to see, it's all about the story. And if you just go in and you hack and slash everything, or use that approach to everything, I think you're going to miss out on a lot of the nuance and the subtleties of a good story. So especially with Vantage, I'm very excited to see, because if you want to explore a world, you ask questions, you turn things over, you go places. Maybe the game doesn't think I'm going to go here. I want to go here. I want to go here. I want to see what's there. And it takes you in a whole different way. And you're glad you did, because there's so many different things you can approach with the sledgehammer. And I mean that figuratively and literally. There's so many ways that you can do that. But I think it's a much more nuanced experience for me to ask the questions and to sort of look under things rather than just always going and swinging my hammer,
That's great. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. That's good to know about charisma in general and the bard. And since we're kind of near the end here today, and this is probably where people listening, if you're listening right now, that you might be starting to think about joining our live version of this.
Yes.
Why don't you come in and join us and let us know what class you play? You can let us know on YouTube if you want it, as normal in the comments, but you could hold it for the live stream and let us know then, and let us know why you play that class. I'd love to hear about that. That's a really fun topic. And if you want to throw in your favorite superhero themed game as well,
love that.
I'd love to hear about that as well. And this is a great topic, Mitchell. I'm glad you shared it because this is something that I haven't ever played D&D, so I don't know much about it. I've just played games that have learned from D&D.
Right.
They dungeon crawlers. So this is fascinating to learn about.
I think you would have fun, even if you didn't do a campaign, if you just sat in on people like starting their characters, because you talk about like role player.
Yeah,
I mean, that's, the whole role player, and if you haven't played role player, such a good game.
Yeah.
Such a good game where you're building a D&D character basically. And then with the expansions, you're going in, you're actually fighting. And with adventures, it becomes even that much more of a campaign driven narrative, but it's so fun. So I think if you like that and knowing how much you like that, I think having the freedom of like somebody leading a game and you asking questions and being more open from the beginning, I think you'd enjoy a couple of sessions that you don't have to play a whole campaign, but I really think even if it's just a learning experience for you, I think you'd really like it.
Awesome. Yeah.
All right. So there you go. Next week we're doing it on Friday. That's the 8th, Friday, August 8th at, what time is it? 1:30 Pacific, which is 4:30 Eastern or 3:30 Central. If you live where Jamey lives. If you have living at Jamey lives, I want to hear more about it. What's Jamey's life like? Don't follow him, but tell me everything you know about him. And I'm looking forward to this. I'm very excited. Jamey, thank you for joining me.
Yeah,
and the next time we do this and we'll be looking at each other, there'll be other people looking at us live and we will be 21. We will officially be 21. We're going to be grown-ups. Yeah, we can, we have our own lives, look at each other, ignore each other. All right. Thank you, Jamey. I'll see you next week.
Mitchell. Sounds good.